Today, more weakening economic data. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, one that is post covering finance and problem news with a distinctively Australian flavour. Well, the ABS has been busy pumping out more data, and so today we look at both the new lending statistics and also new building approvals, both on the downside now. They said the value of new loan commitments for housing fell 4.4% in June 2022, that's seasonally adjusted, but does remain at a historically elevated level of $31 billion, according to the data from the ABS today. They said the value of new owner-occupied loan commitments fell 3.3% in June, while new investor loan commitments fell 6.3%. Those falls follow rises in May, attributed to a clearance of application processing backlogs by lenders. Even with the June falls, the value of new owner-occupied loan commitments remains 50% higher than the pre-pandemic level in February 2020, and the value of new investor loan commitments remains 101% higher. The value of borrower refinancing of owner-occupied housing loan commitments between lenders rose 9.7% to a new record high of $12.7 billion in June 2022. And the ABS said the value of owner-occupied refinancing, where the borrower changed lender, was 25% higher in June compared to a year ago. As interest rates rose in recent months, borrowers have sought loans with lower interest rates, and lenders competed to attract them, the ABS said. Across most states and territories, the value of new owner-occupied loan commitments fell. Victoria fell 7.1%, followed a 6.1% rise in May, while smaller falls were seen in New South Wales, down 2%, and Western Australia, down 4.7%. In June 2022, in original terms, the average loan sizes for owner-occupied dwellings, which includes construction and the purchase of new and existing dwellings, fell 0.9% at the national level, from $615,000 to $610,000, and it fell in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland and Tasmania, but rose in all the other states. The number of new loan commitments for owner-occupier first home buyers fell 8% in June 2022 to 9,393. That's close to the pre-pandemic level in February 2020 of 9,549. And the number of those loan commitments fell across almost all states and territories, particularly Victoria, which was down 11.2%, New South Wales down 9.4%, and Western Australia down 13.8%. The 6.3% national fall in the value of new investor loan commitments was driven by New South Wales, down 10.5% or $439 million, Victoria down 3.4%, or $100 million, and Western Australia down 10.6% or $78 million. Queensland, South Australia and the Australian Capital Territories also fell. However, both Tasmania and the Northern Territory saw small increases. And the value of new loan commitments for fixed-term personal finance fell 15.2% seasonally adjusted in June. That's the largest fall in the series, with the exception of April 2020. The fall was driven by a 14.4% fall in lending for the purchase of road vehicles, as well as a 37.1% fall in lending for personal investment. Lending for travel, though, rose up 17.6%, but it was still 6.4% behind the pre-pandemic level back in February 2020. Now, elsewhere, the total number of dwellings approved fell 0.7% in season-adjusted terms in June. That followed an 11.2% rise in May, according to data again from the ABS out today. The ABS said the decrease in the total number of dwellings approved in June was driven by a fall in approvals for private sector dwellings, excluding houses, which dropped 5.7%. And as I've made this comment before, units go all over the place because when you actually get approvals, you get approvals for a large number of units in one development. Approvals for private sector houses rose 1.2% in June, following a 2.1% fall in May. The average approval value for new houses continues to rise year on year since passing $400,000 in April 2022. The average approval value for a new house in June was $409,784, roughly $67,500 higher than the year before, and $78,500 higher than in June 2019. This reflects a year-on-year rise of 19.8% for June 2022, following weaker rises of 2.6% for June 2021 and 0.7% for June 2020. And across Australia, the number of dwelling approvals rose in Victoria, up 6.3%, and Western Australia up 1.7%, and New South Wales 1.5% and Tasmania 1% in season-adjusted terms. But dwelling approvals decreased in South Australia, down 10.1%, and Queensland down 2%. Approvals of private sector houses rose in New South Wales, up 9.2%, and Victoria up 4.2%, while declines were recorded in Queensland, down 7.8%, Western Australia down 2.9%, and South Australia down 0.9%, again in season-adjusted terms. The value of total building approved fell 4.7% in June, following a 10.8% rise in May, and the value of new residential buildings fell by 3.7%, comprised of a 3.9% fall in the value of new residential buildings approved and a 2.2% decrease in the value of alterations and additions. And the value of non-residential building approvals fell 6.1%, following a 17% increase in May. So if you stand back, you can see a couple of things happening. The first is that interest rates are now having an impact on lending. Refinancing is still going great guns and more people should be looking for those cheaper loans. But nevertheless, the total volume is now easing back, and that will continue. And with regard to building approvals, well, there is something of a backlog, of course, and the unit approvals are all over the place. But nevertheless, the trends are looking a little weaker. So combined, I think it's true to say that this is another set of indicators that shows the economy is weakening and probably will continue to weaken ahead. I wonder whether the RBA factor that in its upcoming decision. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.